All right, so what you guys are looking at right now is a dry fit of a dual enclosure that I'm building for a customer. This enclosure is going to house two Sundown Audio Z8s. If you haven't seen the Z8s, they are very monstrous, and that's the reason that this enclosure is so large. Now, the enclosure is actually built in terms of volume and tuning to manufacturer specification and that of the customer, because that's what the customer wanted. But that's not really what I want to focus on right now. What I want to focus on is build quality. I want to let you guys know that when you come and order a subwoofer enclosure from me, this is the type of quality that you are to expect. Okay, so we're going to go over a few things. First and foremost, this is 3/4 inch MDF construction. The entire build is made of 3/4 inch MDF construction. The baffle is going to be a dual baffle. So that's going to be a combination of 3/4 inch panels. So this is in total 1.5 inches thick for your baffle. Okay. All my boxes that I build for you are going to have some type of bracing incorporated. In this case, we have window bracing, and we have an extensive amount of window bracing because of how large the enclosure is. This is only going to house 2/8s, but if anyone have ever seen the Z8s, which I will post to the screen right now, you will know that they are very, very large 8-inch subwoofers. And because of that, and because of the depth of this enclosure, you need added support for the center of that enclosure to minimize flex. What you are trying to do when you're building an enclosure is to make that enclosure as inert as possible, which is why MDF is a great choice for that, because it is a dense, very dense material to work with. So that's why you have so much window bracing in there, to keep all resonance down and keep this enclosure as inert and deadened as possible. So that's the reason why you have so much window bracing inside of this enclosure. Another thing I want to point out about the enclosure is this cutout in the rear here. I know some of you guys are looking at this, and there's a purpose for this cutout. All enclosures that you purchase from me is going to be installed, or it's going to come equipped with a speaker terminal that matches its wood type. So if you have a plywood of a box and it has a pine finish, it's going to have a pine speaker terminal. These are my custom made speaker terminals, and this is what is going to come standard with every box that I build for you. Now, keep in mind that this is actually a 4-way terminal right here. This is made for 4 subwoofers. However, the customer actually seen me utilize this in some videos for a dual subwoofer enclosure, and this is why they did that. I use a 4-way or 4-channel speaker terminal to do a dual subwoofer enclosure such as this on a personal level, because I want to ease my serviceability of the enclosure that I'm going to be using. I test a lot of different subwoofers and a lot of different amplifiers, and to be able to externally change my impedance rating and rewire as far as parallel or series configuration, to be able to do that on the side of the box instead of having to uninstall the subwoofers every single time I want to test a different amplifier that has a different impedance load. This make my life a lot more easy. So as far as serviceability, when you're dealing with a dual subwoofer enclosure that has dual voice cores per subwoofer, this is more easier. Because why? Because subwoofer 1 has 1, 2, 3, 4 connections to make, correct? So you have voice core 1 for subwoofer 1 and voice core 2 for subwoofer 1. And this is how I want to connect them, so I don't have to ever uninstall them and do it manually. So I can just do everything from the side of the box. The installation process is very simple. Any enclosure that you buy from me is going to have this pre-cut for you, and it's going to fit that recess very, very well. And all you got to do is just pop it in. And there you have it. Now you have a speaker terminal that is detachable, serviceable, and it matches the wood type of your enclosure. So I think this is a pretty cool thing. A lot of people have already gave me positive feedback on it. They've already given me all type of tips and tricks in order to improve it as well. And I'm gonna continue with this. So just know that when you make a purchase from me, this is the type of quality that you can look forward to. All right, so right now the glue is drying on this one. The top is not fixed yet. I just have the top sitting up there so I can show you guys what's going inside of this box. Now, this is the Sundown Audio Z8. For everyone who's never had the actual pleasure of seeing this thing, this is what I consider a work of art. The Sundown Audio Z8, there is nothing on the market quite like this. Some people have actually categorized this in its own category. They place it as a 9-inch subwoofer. They say it's more so of a 10 than it is of an 8. And I kind of wanted to drive that point home by putting out some other 8s that are on the market. This is the most standard size 8 right here that you're probably gonna get these days. You know, back in the early 2000s, late 90s, you wouldn't even getting something this beefy. Believe it or not, this little guy comes off Alibaba. Now, I take that back. This was Temu. I got that guy from Temu. Just, you know, because somebody said that you can get something decent over there, I ordered it, and I'd be danged if this don't look like a lot of stuff that you can get right now on the market that didn't cost 60 bucks. I can tell you, no, I paid $16 for that, believe it or not. Now this is a more robust of an 8-inch subwoofer, okay? This is the B2 Audio Rampage 8. The Rampage 8 is a 1,000-watt subwoofer. This guy right here was only like 250 watts. Got a nice little copper coil up in there, and it sounds pretty decent. But anyway, this thing right here put up good numbers. It is well respected in the car audio arena. However, this, on the other hand, is a completely different beast. Now keep in mind, it doesn't matter if it's this 8, that 8, or that 8. I can build boxes for them. This box is suitable, believe it or not, for all of these speakers, because even though this little guy right here doesn't require as much internal volume as this guy right here will require, the structural integrity of the box will remain the same. The same things go for this 1,000-watt subwoofer. The structural integrity of the box will remain the same. It will be proper tuned, it will be structurally sound, and it will be to whatever the customer specifications are. This one right here, this subwoofer is 2,000 watts RMS, and it has a recommended internal volume of 1 cubic foot. Okay, that's what the manufacturers is asking you for that 1 8-inch subwoofer. I think if you want a boomer box, you can put him in a 1 cube and he'll do fine. Long story short, just know that it doesn't matter what your budget is. If you want me to build you an enclosure, I can do that for you. So hopefully that satisfies some curiosity as to why is he building a 3 cubic foot enclosure for 2 8-inch subwoofers? It doesn't make sense. Yeah, those are not regular 8-inch subwoofers, okay? That's the reason why this thing is so big. So let's go over a little bit of specs in case you guys are curious about that. The Sundown Audio Z8 actually has a recommended internal volume, this is after displacement, of 1 cubic foot, and it has a recommended port area of 15 square inches. So what you have here is something that's a little bit bigger in all degrees, and that's because the customer wanted it tuned a little bit lower than manufacturer specifications. The manufacturer specification says that You know, a 32 hertz tuning frequency would be good. Of course, when you get the sub, you can do whatever you want to do with it. So I tuned this one to 30 hertz. They said recommended port area is 15 hertz. 15 square inches. I've played around with this before. I know it can handle a lot more, but I only went over 2 square inches. So you have a total of 32 square inches here instead of the recommended 30. So you got a little bit more port area. It actually recommends 2 cubic foot of internal volume, and after displacement of the subwoofers and the bracing on the inside, you have a total cubic foot of 2.25. So it's 2 1/4. It's a quarter more of a cubic footage than is recommended by the manufacturer. So this thing should sound pretty good. It's going to get a bit louder at tune frequency because it's a little larger than what's recommended. But on an overall, this is what the customer wants, so this is what the customer gets. So once again, if you guys are in the market for a nice quality built enclosure, the information is right there on the screen. It's also in the description, and I may pin it in the first comments for you guys to, have it easily accessible. So just hit me up, let me know what it is you're trying to do, and hopefully, I can build your next box. All right, so here go 2 dual enclosures you can purchase from Budget Base. This one right here is a 12-inch, and that one right there is an 8-inch. Both of these are dual subwoofer enclosures. This one right here, this been my test rig for a long time, so it got some scars, okay? I may just have to build another one just to show you guys what the top quality of it looks like, but just know that this box has plenty of internal bracing, plenty of it, top and bottom, and center. You have plenty of bracing inside of the chamber and the ports. Now I know demoing this enclosure on video, it doesn't really give it justice because you can't really scale how big this thing really is. This overall is 4.75 cubic feet internally. So externally, you're looking at about a 5 cubic foot that it's gonna take up in your trunk. Just the outer dimensions of it. Internally, the space on the inside is around 4.75 cubic foot. The subwoofers I usually test in here takes up, they're big subs. They take up about a 1/4 cubic foot themselves. So you have to take that away from the overall, plus the bracing. So after bracing displacement and subwoofer displacement, you're left with a little bit over 4 cubic foot, but I just tell people it's 4 cubes. I round it off, right? Subwoofers that you can put in inside of this enclosure in particular would be the Sundown X12s, version 3 and 4. Also, you have the B2 Audio subs. You have, I would say the B2 Audio Rage. XLs can go up in here. I don't know about the Rampage may be suitable for this as well, but the Rampage definitely gonna need 5 cubes and more in my opinion. But go look at B2 specs for yourself. Another one would be the Resilient Sounds. Resilient Sounds have, I think it's the Gold. I wanna say it's the Gold series. The Gold series would fit this perfectly. Scar Audio have the biggest 12 they make would be the VXF. 4 cubes net would do it phenomenally well. That thing sounds amazing on at its RMS power rating. I've owned all these subs I'm talking about, and others. The American Bass XFL 12 phenomenally. It'll perform phenomenal in a subwoofer enclosure such as this. Like I said, plenty of port bracing as well. They have 2-inch dials in there. It has it on this wall and on the rear wall. If you look in there, you will see. You see that screw here and that screw there? Those are deck screws, by the way. They're securing the other 2 dowels on that L port. So yeah, plenty of strength, plenty of bracing, plenty of volume for any subwoofer really that you want to put up in here, whether you got a monster subwoofer or anything just cheap, something cheap would be happy at home with this as well. This is a lot of volume. Just, tame your bass control and you'll be fine. It's dual baffled. Like I said, many subs have been in here over the 3 years that I've had this, and it does have some scars, but it's a winner. This one right here is definitely a winner. This right here is for 2 dual 8-inch subwoofers. As you can tell, it stands taller, but internally you're talking 2 1/4 cubes after displacement of the subwoofers that I'm going to be putting in it. So that's a net volume. So the subwoofers that this box was built for in particular was the Sundown Audio Z8s. They are the biggest 8s I think that they even make is the Z8, which is crazy. You got to see that thing. Like I was saying previously, this has a gross volume of, I want to say 3 cubes, and then per sub is taking up 0.15, so together they take up 1/4. So you're left with about, after the displacement of the subs, you're left with 3 and 3.75, and then you got a lot of bracing on the inside of this. You have to compensate for the bracing as well when you're calculating your net volume, okay? So that's about 1/4 cubic foot of bracing that this thing is taking up in and of itself. So you gotta calculate that, and that'll leave you with about 2.5 to 2, about 2 1/4 and 2 to 2.5 cubic foot of airspace for the subwoofers, just depending on what subwoofers you're putting in here. Right now, what you're looking at is the port area over here. The port area over here is 4 by 8. So that'll be what, 8, 16, 32 square inches of port area versus this one over here, which is twice as tall as that one. You got 64 square inches of port area over here. Now I know when I was demoing this, a lot of people was like, oh man, those raised, you're not giving those Sundown X12s enough port area. And I'm like, are these people crazy or something? Like, this is 64 square, but I know in the video, it was partially blocked. The view of them was partially blocked by the actual trunk opening, because the trunk opening isn't as tall as these are. They taper to the side, so it was partially blocked, the port, which will, hurt your performance a little bit. But for visual reasons, I was kind of letting you guys get some flex off the sub, and that's the reason why I had them turned like that. But anyway, that's kind of it, and I kind of wanted to bring you guys in on what this product looked like and let you guys know that they are available plans on the website, and they are available for purchase. So just contact me with the information below and order yourself one. Come holler at your boy if you want to get loud. Thanks for visiting the channel to help you simplify car audio. It's the Budget Bass here, and I'm out.